So I am 40 years old today, and boy, that's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. I don't really feel that old, but I am. I am, damn it. So, what I thought I'd do is make a video. As with most of these videos that I record, they're just kind of off the cuff. I have a few bullet points kind of written down here, but for the most part, I just wanted to chat with you guys and share some non-gaming related content. I'm not even sure where I'm going to post this video, so if it's not your thing, I apologize in advance, but thank you for clicking on it, and have a lovely day. So, I've always been a seeker. For better or for worse, right? I've been a super existential person who's always looking for big answers. And I think I'm probably in the minority out there, but I think there's also a lot of people out there like me. So I wanted to share a little bit of what I've learned over the last 40 years, you know? I'm sure I'll learn a lot more over the next 40, if I'm alive the next 40, which I highly doubt, but you never know. But, you know, I feel like every, 5 years, every decade, I end up walking away almost a different person in a sense, right? So I wanted to share three things that I hope to instill in my son, Charlie, someday. You know, three, it's not to say life lessons, but it's just three things that I've learned. And I wish a lot of these things I've done differently and lived or oriented myself a little bit more towards, some of these things I'm going to talk about right now in the past. So anyway, number one is, the way to live. No big deal. I'm just going hard out the gate here. So the way to live, right? One thing about me is I'm an emotional person. I'm very sensitive to what other people are thinking at all times, you know? And I think like most people, I like to be liked, right? It feels kind of funny to say that out loud, but I like to be liked, right? So, but it's so important to be authentic too, to be authentic and to be tactful and to forgive people, right? So there's a lot of people in my past that I should have just been very, very quick to forgive and to see the best in people's actions, right? At a lot of points during my life, I've gossiped. I've gossiped about, I think a lot of us do, right? Not nothing too hardcore, but, just being like, making little side comments about this or that, the other thing. And not really trying my best to do some due diligence in seeing where other people in your life are actually coming from, because we all have think about yourself, what you've been through in your life, what you're going through in your life. No one really knows that except for you. So before you judge others, take a look at yourself. And it's nothing you haven't heard before, but I really wish I didn't, in my past, I used to press my worldviews on others a lot. And the problem with being very vigilant about sticking up for what you think, how people ought to act, right? Which is kind of what I'm doing in this video, right? The problem is when you hold other people to those standards, whether it be, dogmatic standards, whether it be, something that's very dear to you, no matter what it is, you have to understand that everybody has their own standards and everybody has their own worldview. So we're not going to be able to live in a world where we're constantly just arguing with each other, right? Where we're constantly telling other people how they ought to live, or, especially with the internet, right? It really makes this problem more intense, feeling more intense. And I really feel for, the current generation of kids growing up, because it's a lot different than when I grew up without internet, or certainly without smartphones and devices, going back to how to live, at least for me, I wish I made more small changes, and I wish I made them today or yesterday, right? Taking small steps in life, sometimes that's all you need. It's just get that positive momentum rolling. And I mentioned that on the channel in the past, but I think sometimes I thought grandiose in my life. I want to do this. How am I going to get there? And there's nothing wrong with thinking like that. But oftentimes, you can just make small positive changes in your day-to-day life, in your habits, in your routines, or just add something. I mean, today is the day that you can do something that you've always been, thinking I ought to do that at some point, right? You can do that today, and you can take little steps to get there. So I wish I had kind of taken that approach. And then lastly, man, surround yourself with positive people and be quick to also, I said, to forgive and also to apologize. Apologizing is something that it actually feels really good most of the time when you do it, and try to be authentic and don't try to be defensive when you apologize in life, right? If you're going to fall on the sword, fall on the sword, especially if you truly mean it, right? And you should. So sometimes you can make more connections with people, especially people who disagree with you. We talked about dogmatism and stuff like that, right? And worldviews. you can make more progress both for you and the other individual. And, if we all did this, it would make the world a lot better of a place just by trying to listen to someone else and coming at them from a position of a friend versus an adversary. So be quick to apologize. Surround yourself with positive people that attribute qualities that you would like to bring out in yourself. And that will help you bring out the best version or be the best version of yourself. Number 2, right? That's my how to live. Number 2 is how to love. Okay, I just didn't even write that down, but it sounds like it fits. Let the people, you hear this all the time, right? But let the people in your life know that you love them. Just let them know. I know it can be weird sometimes, but it's always be vigilant and attentive to the fact that it's easy to take people and your health, for that matter as well, for granted. Think about it this way, not to be, negative or whatever, but glib. But what if you had one day left to live, right? Just really think about that. Who would you talk to? What would you do? What would you say, And then think back to reality. Meditate on that for a moment. And then think about the reality that you do live in, where tomorrow isn't guaranteed. One day you are going to have one day left to live, right? And you're not going to obviously pour your heart out to everybody in your entire life every single day. But if you keep that front of mind, you should really encourage yourself to have some of those conversations, to reach out to some of those people, to tell people that you love them, that, you really do, right? Because that's what life is all about, the connections that we make with others. I lost my mom and my sister and my brother. And boy, do I have so many regrets on things that I should have said and things I should have done. And, it gets really, really difficult at times to think about all those things. So I wish, again, this is one of the most common things that people who are dying express, especially the hospice nurses, is, regret not spending more time with loved ones, and not telling loved ones how you feel about them, and that can be, again, an old friend, a colleague, a coworker, a family member, a sibling, a spouse, an ex. It doesn't matter, and hey, some people might not respond incredibly well to, you reaching out randomly and telling them how much you love them or whatever. But if you're coming from a place of love, and if you can live with yourself, then it's okay. It's going to be okay. It's so much easier to be critical and to be judgmental and, to always look for the worst in others than it is to do the opposite, right? Is to accept people and try to show empathy for other people, to give back to other people and show gratitude, I don't know. I mean, losing those family members has taught me, the fragility of life, but it's also made me adopt a better mindset and a more positive mindset and ignore the things that used to bother me, the things that I used to vent about all the time, It's made me just kind of not even ignore, but maybe those cast aside a lot easier, because who really cares in the grand scheme of things? I used to stress out about everything. I used to worry about everything in my life. And I still do from time to time, but it's something that I'm way more vigilant about, because sometimes through great loss, you can have great personal growth, right? Third thing that I've learned, and only 3 things in 40 years, guys. That's it. That's all I got for you. Third thing is a little bit more nuanced and tough for me to explain, but time is an illusion, right? Here I go, getting a little wonky on you guys. Time is an illusion. It's Einstein's theory of relativity, right? It's both subatomically and according to quantum mechanics. It's been proven that linear time, as we experience it, right, is an illusion created by consciousness and entropy, right? So in some ways, our past, our present, and our future, they're all just as real. As a matter of fact, whatever you're thinking right now, whatever you're doing right now, actually isn't happening right now in the present. It's already happened. It's happened in the past. Even your brain signals and your brain waves and the thoughts that you're having are actually already in the past. They've already happened. So in a very strange way, living in the moment is actually living in the past. So what am I talking about, right? This concept gives me a great sense of purpose and meaning and peace in the universe. It makes me want to cherish every single moment that I'm in. And it's a constant reminder to try to show gratitude to every moment that I'm in. It gives me a great sense of meaning that the time that I've lost with my loved ones in the past, even saying that, the time that I've lost, it isn't time I've lost. Think about any moment in your past, your first kiss, right? Time with loved ones, the birth of my son, the best moment of my life. Those moments are just as real as whatever I'm thinking right now is. And again, it's a little bit of it's not as easy to digest as the first two lessons, but none of those moments are gone, and I don't have to lament. Goes back to what I was saying about my loved ones and my regrets. There are still a lot of amazing times I had with my siblings and my mom that are real, still real. And that gives me thus gives me a great sense of purpose and meaning in the moment, right? I always try to remind myself, if I'm having a good time, if I'm really connecting with someone, I always try to remind myself that this moment will live forever, in a way. So anyway, guys, I've been rambling long enough. I can't believe I've just flat out spoke for 15 minutes or 11 minutes, whatever it's been. Sometimes I fail, guys. I'm not perfect, I make videos like this trying to share what I've learned, but I have made so many mistakes, I've treated people badly, made mistakes. I've had a lot of regrets, right? But I think that the best thing that I can do with this platform that I'm so lucky to have, on top of making gaming content and stuff like that and chatting with you guys about whatever, is try to do even if 50% of the people watching, 80% of the people watching this video, it doesn't resonate with you and you're just like, dude, who is this guy? Like, what are you talking about, bro? Even if it doesn't resonate with everybody, I think that if I can make a positive impact, in any way, in anybody's life, especially my son, right? Then I feel really good. So I decided I'd take a moment out of my birthday here, spend a little bit of time with you guys, and share some of these learnings. Hey, if you agree or disagree, or if you have any thoughts on anything that I mentioned, would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Thank you. Love you guys. And as always, take care, guys.